What is up, Nickel City Mafia? I hope everyone's having a great Thursday evening wherever you are in the country, in the world. Maybe not, it might not be Thursday for some folks. But man, we got a lot to cover here. We got a really good show for you today. We're going to get into it shortly, but let me introduce my co-host, my good friend over here, Mr. Jake Podger. Jake, how you doing, man?
Awesome, Mike. Never been better. Ready for this game. I'm getting closer here. We're going to be in Miami in a day and a half here. So we'll be there Saturday morning, and can't wait. I'm super pumped. We're flying out tomorrow. It's going to be a late flight, flying to Sarasota. Then we're driving in the morning to Miami because my wife's family is actually in Sarasota. So we're going to meet them there, drive together. Bing, bang, boom. We'll be in Miami ready to take it over. And I already saw a ton of planes that were boarding on actually today and yesterday. Ton of Bills fans on there, Mike. So I like our chances in terms of winning the fan game, at least,
Yeah. How exciting that you went to the Monday night victory and now you're flying into Miami. I mean, we're going to be our roving reporter here. We're going to send you all the games.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I like it.
And one thing we're going to try to do, so I'm going to let everyone know right now, is that on Sunday, Jake is going to tell me what kind of reception he has there at the stadium. If he has good reception, we're going to go live at halftime. He's going to come on the channel using his little mobile device and give us an update at halftime. Hoping we can make that happen for you. That'd be so much fun. Good to see you out there, Tom. Yeah, we'll talk about the injury part. We're going to get into that shortly. Before we get into the show, and there's a lot to get into, Jake, talk to us about this amazing giveaway from Gorilla Garage Gear, Triple G as we're calling them. It's got a lot of buzz, a lot of folks excited about this. The comments have been amazing. I love reading these comments. I wish we could send every one of them to a game. Unfortunately, we can't at this moment. But man, talk to me about Gorilla Garage Gear, and we'll show a little clip on them, and then we'll get into the game.
Heck yeah, of course. Yeah, Mike. So living in Buffalo, I mean, we get all four seasons here. We have the concrete floors and they get really cracked up and, they start going to crap real quick, I mean, because of the weather. We have so much hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. Sometimes in October, you'll have a 70-degree day like yesterday, and now it's back down into the 50s. So it's not October right now. It's September, but we're a little early. Why not? So anyways, Gorilla Garage is great for this because they have this nice epoxy surface they put over the top of it. It's guaranteed to last, I think, maybe up to 30 years or something like that. So my parents have it installed in their garage, and let me tell you right now, it has withstood the test of time throughout winters, some harsh, cold days, and then you have the nice warm days in between in the summertime. So it still looks as good as ever. Gorilla Garage always does it right. On top of that, they have the great storage systems, that they put on the walls in the garage, and they have garage doors as well. So it's a little bit of everything. If you are looking into doing something along those lines, whether it may be for something like a showcase room or, your garage or your basement or whatever it may be, the floor epoxy is a great thing. The storage stuff is awesome. And, on top of that, you got the garage door thing too. So, they do it all. So it's fantastic. And the best part is they're sponsoring a great giveaway, Mike. 2 tickets to that Sunday night game against the Packers at home, October 30th. It's going to be a nice, crisp October night. And we got 2 GOATs going up against each other, Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. So couldn't get any better.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Gorilla Garage Gear, Triple G as we like to call them. Their cabinets are beautiful. Just go check out their site. It's right there on the right underneath Jake, GorillaGarageGear.com. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Let's play a quick clip on them, and then we'll get into things.
Nothing beats a Gorilla Garage floor, the ultimate floor coating system. Our secret ingredient, a slow cure solid epoxy mortar used to repair and prime the surface. Then we grind it, vac it, coat, color, scrape, and seal it. And with dozens of colors to choose from, your Gorilla Garage floor is the toughest on the market. Visit GorillaGarageGear.com or call 715-6927.
Go, go, Gorilla!
One of the best commercials I've seen, just right outside of Buffalo in Blaisdell. Check them out. Thank you, Triple G. Also, Jake forgot to mention, also included in these 2 tickets is parking. So parking will be taken care of. You'll actually be parking at the Gorilla Garage Gear lot.
That's right.
So fantastic stuff there. And to get in the giveaway, just go put comments on all our shows, starting with, I think it was what was it? Right around, it was our first video.
September 7th, was it? September 7th?
Yeah, it was
Around
right
there?
before. It was right before the home opener. So leave comments on that. Do not put them in the live chat. Obviously, we want you to chat, but after the show, put some comments, and that's how we're going to pick winner, I should say. Anyhow, let's get into it. Lots to talk about. Lots of concern here. I know Tom was asking about the injury report, and we're going to start right there because there's some huge concerns. Big list for each of the teams here. Let's start with the Bills. Gabe Davis, he was limited in practice the last 2 days. He's trending towards playing from everything I'm reading. That's great news. Big news here. Micah Hyde did not practice today or yesterday, and sources have it that he's seeking a second opinion. That's super scary. First of all, prayers go out to him. Hope everything is okay. That means one of two things, in my opinion. Jake, maybe you have a different opinion. It either means he didn't like the news that he heard in his first evaluation, or he's just not feeling good, not feeling right, and wants to go make sure that everything's good. I'll come back to you a little bit on that one because that is huge for this game. Dane Jackson did not practice at all. I do not expect Dane Jackson to practice. Now, we do know that he was released from the hospital that night. Horrific looking injury, but everything, thank God, looked good. He was able to walk out of the hospital, get home, but he's got to be super sore, and I'm sure that they're not going to be bringing him back this week. Cam Lewis was a full practice. I'm not even sure why they had him on here. Oh, he had a forearm early on. Dawson Knox was limited in practice. He's on there with a foot injury, but I'm sure Dawson will play. They showed him in the game on Monday. He actually went out for a little bit with a foot injury, and then he later returned. Matt Milano spent a full practice for both days. He had a little bit of a neck tweak as well in that Monday night game, but he's been practicing in full the last 2 days. Mitch Morris, as we saw, he got hurt on the elbow in that Monday night game, but he came back. They've limited him the last couple of days. I don't think there's any concern. I think he'll be playing come Sunday. Ed Oliver, also limited practice both days with an ankle. We know he missed last week, this past Monday's game. He's trending in the right direction. Hopefully that's the case because Jordan Phillips, who's been smashing it the last 2 weeks, is not looking good for this week. He pulled a hamstring apparently. He did not practice today or yesterday. Huge concern there. But if we can get Oliver back, I'll be a little bit at ease there. Jordan Poyer now, interesting. He's on the list with a foot injury. Limited practice yesterday. Did not practice today. I don't know. My gut tells me he's going to play, but I'm thinking they're just giving him that additional rest. Because if Micah does not play, and I don't think Micah's trending to play at all, he's going to have to be that quarterback back there for all those young guys that are going to have to play. Tim Settle is limited in practice the last couple of days. I had heard last week that Tim, he was doubtful going into Monday night. And if they really, really needed him, based on what I heard from one of the channels that actually has access to talking to these guys, that he would have been able to go. So he's limited practice the last two days, but I think he's trending in the right direction. And then Reggie Gilliam, who was on the injury report early in the week with an elbow, he was full practice today. Yeah. So he's all good. You're wearing his jersey again.
That's my guy. That's my guy. I don't think I'll ever take this jersey off. I mean, do I just keep this on until Sunday? I really, I debated whether I just sleep in this and just keep it on after that game Monday night, Mike, Yep.
I think So, Jake, let me throw it to you, man. There's some serious concerns here. The biggest concern for me, of course, is Micah and Jordan being. But again, I think Jordan will be out there. But talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any game that you don't want to not have your two starting safeties, it would be this one because those guys are essentially the quarterbacks back there. And on top of that, I mean, just having the chance that they go deep, and they can get behind us. I guess you want two guys back there that know the deal, that you can count on to have your help on the backside, especially with two rookie corners that are going to be starting this week. So yeah, it's tough. It definitely hurts. It's not great. It's not ideal to have Micah Hyde out, and obviously thoughts and prayers to him. I hope it's nothing serious, and hopefully it's just one of those things where it's a second opinion just to see, maybe it's even a second opinion to see if he can actually play Sunday. You don't really know what it is. You don't really know what the context is behind it. So I'm hoping, obviously it's not a bad thing. I'm hoping it's more of a precautionary thing, and and I guess we'll find out. But this may be Jaquan Johnson's time to step up and shine and show us what he's worth. You know, there was a lot of good flashes in the preseason, and I actually do feel confident with him being our backup because I think he will be the guy to step in and kind of take that place. You know, he could play both free or strong safety, which is very, you know, that's a great thing to have with him. You know, again, versatility. We talk about guys that could play multiple positions, and he's one of those guys. So I do feel confident with him taking his place, but at the same time, Micah Hyde, he's an all-pro. He's a Pro Bowler, like a super good safety, probably one of the best in Bills history. So it would definitely suck not having him, and it doesn't look great, of course. One thing I will say, I do think Tim Settle is going to play. So, Mike, I know you voiced some concern, obviously, for Jordan Phillips and Ed Oliver, but maybe every week we just rotate a different guy in and he has his day. So maybe it's Tim Settle's week this week. Last week it was Jordan Phillips. The week before you could argue it was Jordan Phillips and Ed Oliver. But maybe we just that's the good part about having so much depth, right? So people wonder why we're signing all these D tackles, all these D ends. Well, if a case like this happens where you have a guy go down with injury, well, you have a next guy in who can step up and make an impact. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, on that interior D line, like you said, it's so great to have that depth. And like I said, I feel a little bit better if Ed Oliver's in there and Phillips has the rest this week. And you know, Jake, I was thinking about this. If I was to ask you at the beginning of the season, name me your top 5 guys on this team who we just can't afford to lose, I'm sure that Micah Hyde would be in that top 5, maybe even top 3, honestly.
Of course, yeah.
So, I mean, it's a huge loss when you consider, talked about it, having these young corners, and now if somebody has to start in the back, I mean, the reason why our young corners have been doing so well are those 2 great safeties that are behind them, helping them out. So, huge loss. You don't replace that guy. There's no replacement for that guy. It's like when you say next man up, I get it, Jake. Yep, next man's gonna have to stand up and do his best. And by the way, Damar Hamlin is actually on the depth chart showing for behind Micah Hyde. So I don't know which one they're going to go with.
Yeah, it was interesting. So when he came out of the game against the Titans, Damar Hamlin looked like he was warming up and getting ready to go in for Micah Hyde, but it was Jaquan Johnson who stepped in instead. So it's interesting how they're going to play that. And like I said, Jaquan Johnson offers that ability to play both free or strong safety. So he could do either or. And I actually feel better with him in there. I do think Damar Hamlin, of course, very solid safety. But if I'm picking one of the 2, I think I feel better with Jaquan back there.
Yeah, Hamlin's the biggest of them. And, but yeah, I trust your opinion. You watch a lot of college games, and I'm sure you saw both these guys. So take your opinion there. But let's say hi to some folks out there in the channel. Tom, how you doing, man? Big Al, good to see you. And Tom has a question I'm going to bring up for you. It's good to see Mama Podger out there. I haven't seen Mama Podger in a while. Good to see you, Mama Podger. Happy to see you out here anytime. And then we got Slinky out there. Good to see you, Slinky. I'm sorry the Dolphins don't scare me, Mike. White had a 400-yard game last year.
He did. And everyone thought he was the next best thing in New York. And look at him now, unfortunately. But he had his moments last year, that's for sure.
All right, so Tom, coming in with the big question. How do you pick your game day jersey? Do you have a certain rotation, or you just stick to a lucky one?
You know, I stick with the lucky one. However, I did wear my Micah Hyde one previous to the Rams game, and we won that game. But then this Reggie Gilliam jersey came in, and I had to put it on. So wore it last week, and I think I'm just going to keep wearing it. I'm just going to keep riding that high. So I am going to continue wearing this one until we have a loss, which should be never. So very wishful thinking.
I have 2 jerseys only. It's this JA-17 that I just got recently, and it's 2-0, and I plan to make it 3-0, so I'm going to stick with it. I have my Jim Kelly, my favorite player of all time, in the closet ready to go if we need to pull that out. I'll wear both of them one day if I have to, just to bring that extra good karma for us. So,
and you know what? There's something about wearing a jersey in person to a game and getting the win. Like I wore this Monday night. He scores a touchdown, the first touchdown of the game. So I got to just keep riding that wave. So I got to stick with Reggie Gilliam. So that's my choice, Tom. I know it's kind of a pretty dumb take, but I'm just a dumb football guy as it is. So this is going to be it until we lose.
I love it. Good to see you out there, Christopher. Thanks for joining the channel. By the way, I do want to say, recently we hit a huge milestone. Nickel City Mafia just reached 1,000 subscribers. We couldn't do it without all of you. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate your support. We really, really do. So thank you for that. And let's go. I've always said, we're always going to keep giving back to our subscribers, and hopefully we can keep working with sponsors. And from what it seems, Jake, we just need to keep giving tickets out because, man, these stories are touching. Some of these stories, people have never been to a game for many different reasons. And, so good stuff there. All right, let me get into the Miami Dolphins. Their injury report is pretty big as well. And this is a big one for them right off the top here. Terron Armstead, which is their left tackle that they brought over from New Orleans, he has a toe injury, and he has not practiced either yesterday or today. That's huge.
That is huge.
Why is that huge? Because on the right side, they're having to start Greg Little, who their starter, Austin Jackson, has been put on the IR. He's out for at least 4 games, just like Trey White. Mm-hmm. So Greg Little has not looked good. We can certainly take advantage of Greg Little. He is, like I said, he's the right side. He's on Tua's blind side. A little scary there on a right tackle who's struggling. So that's one area I think we can take advantage. And now you're telling me if Terron Armstead's out, on the other side, oh man, our edges could have a feast that day. Let's see. They got Ethan Carter, did not practice last 2 days. Here's another big one, Xavier Howard. Their cornerback has a groin injury. He did not practice on Wednesday, but he was limited today. I actually saw the effects of that groin injury. I was watching that Dolphin Raven game late in the game, and that could be some of the reasons he was struggling. And the Dolphins pulled off what they did. So something to watch. Those are the 2 big ones, Armstead and Howard. Melvin Ingram was his veteran rest. Hunter Long, their tight end, did not practice last 2 days. Channing Tindall. Cedric Wilson, who is a guy that they brought over this year, a slot guy, he was limited in practice last 2 days. Tanner Connor was a full practice the last 2 days. This guy, I'm going to mess his name up. Raekwon Davis was
that's right.
Full practice yesterday, limited practice today. And finally, Alec Ingold was a full practice on both days.
Now that's huge. You want to talk about a big position going down. He's an athletic fullback, too. That guy can hurdle people, Mike. I don't know if you've seen any highlights of him, but he's one of the better fullbacks in the league. So big loss if they don't have him Sunday. Yeah,
well, like I said, he's been a full practice the last 2 days, so I think he'll be there. So the 2 big ones for them, and plus, fullbacks, they just put duct tape on and they're out there on the field.
That's right. He'll play. Yeah, he'll play no matter what.
So the 2 big ones to watch for is Armstead and Howard. That's huge for them. If they lose those 2 guys, now they're in a situation similar to us. They'll have I think their other starting corner is also injured. So they would have 2 young guys starting at corner. That's huge. Be in a similar situation as us. So keep an eye on that. It's always tough on a Thursday. We're still a few days away. And hopefully some of these things turn around and we start looking like a little healthier come Sunday. Let's see. We should talk about this as well before I move on to something else. We lost Mr. Raheem Blackshear. Jake hyped him up prior to anyone even knowing about this guy. We put that video out, and Jake hit it right on the head. He said, this guy's going to, he's going to show up in training camp, preseason. He's going to be a fan favorite. That guy shined. We lost when we released him. We were bummed, but then we signed him back to our practice squad, and he's been signed by the Panthers. And big loss for us. I wish him the best. That means he's on their active roster, so good for him. Jake, your thoughts on Blackshear?
Yeah, I wish him nothing but the best. I think he's in line to take Chuba Hubbard's spot as the backup running back to Christian McCaffrey. So crazy, because when you got to remember, when you take someone off a practice squad from one team, you have to promote them to your active roster. So you have to sign them to your active roster. So he's on that 53-man roster, and I with how Chuba's been playing, it hasn't been super impressive to start the year off. So I think he is maybe going to get some time in that backfield as Christian McCaffrey's handcuff back.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the chat here. Christopher says, I'm at work right now, but I believe that I have 13 jerseys. He has 3 Josh Allens.
Wow.
And let's see. Tom says, Christopher, nice. I have 2 of Allen's, both same color, just different sizes. And he has Russo, White's, Allen. I have Vaughn's, but I traded it for for Oz.
For an ounce of weed.
Oh,
Attaboy,
boy.
Tom.
All right. So
Wow. I mean, interesting trade-off there. I don't know. I don't know if you could put a price on a jersey. That's the thing. So it's tough. So you guys are going to think I'm nuts. I have 73 jerseys and counting down here. But then if you include my brother's jerseys, which we sort of split, which Blake, if you're watching, I think you got a couple jerseys out there that I could throw in the closet over here that would look really good. That Steven Davis Redskins Washington R Words jersey that would look really nice in the closet. There's a Brian Urlacher Pro Bowl jersey. There's a Roy Williams Cowboys jersey. Some teams that I don't have jerseys of. Now I do have majority of them as Bills jerseys. I think I have around 10 Bills jerseys around there. So we're, obviously you got to support the home team, but it's nice to have other teams too. My wife looks at me like I'm crazy and thinks, she questioned originally when she met me, why do you have so many jerseys? Well, I look at it this way, Mike. It's a very selfless thing, right? So I have these jerseys in the man cave. They're straight ahead of me. You can't see it, but they're in this closet. You come downstairs when the Bills aren't playing, say it's bye week, right? You're watching games. Maybe you got a couple guys in fantasy you're rooting for. You need a jersey to put on, right? So go help yourself. Go to the closet, throw one on. Boom. You're ready to watch the game.
Jake, I'm going to have Big L talk to you because from my perspective, you'll never see me wear another team's jersey. I just can't do it. I get the fantasy football support. I just can't do it. So Big L, can you have a talk with your son?
Majority, like I said, I have majority.
I wonder what Big L feels about that.
Oh, it's borderline. That's maybe not a great thing, as a Bills fan. As a self-proclaimed diehard Bills fan, probably shouldn't have him in there. Maybe I burn the rest of them. What do you think?
That's funny. Let's go and let's get it. We got a little weather to talk about. Believe it or not, you think you're going to Miami, it's going to be just hot.
Yeah, what the heck?
But there's a 24% chance of a thunderstorm in spots, 40% chance of rain, some gust up to 23 miles per hour. I wasn't able to get the hourly breakdown. It's probably still a little early. But again, just like on Monday night, I hope that rain is out of the way. I do not want that to affect this game whatsoever. I don't want any excuses on that field this Sunday. And all right, this explains it, Big L.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I already have CTE as it is from just playing football. So, might as well throw that in the mix too. But you can only use the CTE excuse so long, Mike. I think the wife is starting to catch on to that a little bit.
I love it. All right, let's talk about some of the changes from the team that we played last year, the Dolphins. I always like to talk when we play them for the first time this year. Let's talk about those changes. One of the huge changes was a new coach, Mike McDaniel, who is known for his offensive wizardry and schemes. He was the offensive coordinator for the Niners last year and did a fantastic job. I mean, look what Deebo Samuel ended up doing with his scheme there. Thoughts on Mike Daniel?
He's done a tremendous job there. It was the best move the Dolphins could have made. I think at first a lot of people were very skeptical as to why they fired Brian Flores, who kept them competitive and I guess kind of polarizing. Some players liked him, some players didn't. And then there's the whole issue with the, management trying to tell him to lose games and the bribery and all that stuff. So there was just a lot going on there and you had to sort of digest it all. But then in the midst of all that, they hired Mike McDaniel, who's done a really, really good job. And, he sort of made Tua look better than I think he is. I think it's a good system for Tua to be in. Not a great fantasy football system, although it's contrary to popular belief after looking at what they did last week. They're not going to do that every week, though. I can tell you that. I mean, the Ravens just sort of gave up, and we'll talk more about that. But they, first off, you can't play man on two speed demons like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Can I get that out of the way? I mean, what the hell were they thinking? I mean, it's crazy. Now, going back to Mike McDaniel, I think he's done a really good job of drawing up plays, drawing up the trickeration, putting together a roster. I mean, they went out and got Tyreek Hill. They went out and got Terron Armstead. Wanted to give Tua a little more protection. They got Connor Williams. I think he was this year in the offseason. They got him as well. They got some running backs for him, although the running game in general hasn't been great for him, but they got some weapons still and some speedy ones at that with Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds. They had Sony Michel for a hot second, then they released him too. They still have Myles Gaskin, who hasn't done a thing this year. So it's very interesting. They have a lot of depth offensively. We talked about Cedric Wilson as well. That's another guy. They have some weapons. They have some weapons, Mike, and I really like Mike McDaniel and what he's done. And he's made that team extremely competitive, and I think even more so a threat to the AFC East.
Yeah, for sure. You kind of mentioned some of these other ads, but I'll just rattle them off. Obviously, the big ad, the game changer for them is they traded for Tyreek Hill. They sold the house, and it's been worth it. They're living in a tent right now, but they don't care. That deal was fantastic for them. Tyreek Hill is a game
I like
changer.
that analogy. They're living in a tent right now. Yeah.
They added Cedric Wilson, like you said. Gone is Devontae Parker. They added left tackle Terron Armstead from New Orleans. And they added center Connor Williams from Dallas. They added right tackle Greg Little from Carolina. And they added running back Chase Edmonds from Arizona. Another big, nice upgrade. And they added Raheem Mostert, who you mentioned, from San Francisco. So that run game's been elevated. And, I mean, Tyreek Hill. And then one of their biggest weaknesses going into this year was that offensive line. Terron Armstead actually helps that situation out. But as we talked, he hasn't practiced this week. So we're going to see what happens there.
Right.
And I already mentioned that starting right tackle Austin Jackson is on IR, which is making it so Greg Little has to play, and Greg Little has not been looking good. The guy, he's been in the league a few years, really hasn't been a starter, and if you were to watch any of those games, he's really, really struggling. So opportunity time there. You got something you want before I move over to the defense? What else
I was
you
just
got?
going to say, you're saying Greg Little. I'm thinking the receiver Greg Little, Mike. Listen, I know the tackle Greg Little, but how could you not remember the world-famed UNC receiver who came into the league, drafted by the Browns, lit it up a little bit, and then kind of fizzled out. But Greg Little, shout out to him, the other Greg Little. And then we talked about Cedric Wilson as well. I watched his dad play with the Niners and the Steelers. So it's kind of crazy. Like, he's in his low 40s. He must have had Cedric Wilson Jr. kind of young. But now he has a son playing in the league, too, with the Dolphins. And he did a really good job last year with the Cowboys. Hasn't been as productive this year with the Dolphins. But, he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, and then on defense, they had a good defense last year, and the biggest ad for them, they're a little light on depth there, but they added Melvin Ingram, and I got to tell you, Jake, this guy is the thorn in our side. He played in that opening game for the Steelers, had a big play in that game, and helped them win the game. Then he goes over to KC. I don't know if he was there for the midseason game that we had, but he was there in the 13-second game helping them out, and I just hope that trend doesn't continue. I mean,
I
please. I mean, what is this guy just going every team that's going to be facing us? I don't know what the pattern is. I know you and I were talking about maybe hoping we added him. He was a free agent. I thought it'd be a nice ad at one point in time, but here he is. We're going to be going against him, and he's a playmaker. I mean, he's past his prime, but the dude still makes plays. He did it last year in both games against us. Just to recap last year, in case you forgot, we went to Miami, smashed them 35-0. Tua was knocked out of that game. Epinesa just put a huge hit, just kind of showing the weakness of that offensive line. The Bills just dominated that game 35-0. They came to Buffalo on Halloween last year. I was there with my family. It was a very close game. I was nervous. We ended up winning 26-11. It was very close at halftime. As a matter of fact, they were going into scored half, and Tua fumbled. Could have changed the game if they had scored. After that game, though, the Dolphins went on and won 8 out of their last 9 games. They went on a hot run. And if they had not lost to Jacksonville like we did, they would have beat out the Patriots, because they beat the Patriots twice, and they would have made the playoffs. So I don't know what it was with Jacksonville last year. They were a giant killer. They knocked out they beat the Bills. They beat the Dolphins. They knocked out the Colts on the last game of the year, because the Colts were going into those playoffs, and they knocked them out. So I don't know what it is with Jacksonville, but they were the giant killer last year.
Dream crushers, just dream crushers, that whole team.
Yeah, so I hope, let me, before we're going to get into some film, folks. We're going to get in. This is the first time we're doing this. Our good friend over at Red, White, and Bills, Sean, he actually, if you want to check his channel out after the show here, he actually broke down some of the defensive schemes or defensive plays in the Monday night game. Did a really great job. And we're going to break down it's going to be short. We're going to go through those 4 touchdowns that the Dolphins scored in the fourth quarter. We'll break that down. We're going to do that right now. But Red, White, and Bills and Nickel City Mafia, we're going to collab on just game film. starting hopefully next week. It's just really hard for us. We all have other jobs and we have families, so it's hard getting our shows coordinated more than just the 1 or 2 we do a week. So we're hoping to get that going next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let me do that right now before we get into our key matchups for the game, because this is going to probably influence a lot of you folks when you start talking about the key plays of the game. So give me a second here. Let me get that shared.
By the way, Tom, he asked if I have any Chiefs, Bucks, or Patriots jerseys. I don't have a Patriots jersey. I do have a Priest Holmes Chiefs jersey and then a Darrelle Revis Bucks jersey. And one of my favorite players, one of my favorite linebackers is Derek Brooks. So I do have a signed Florida State football of Derek Brooks in this basement as well. Listen, man, I love the Bills to death. Don't get me wrong. But I have some respect for some other guys out there, too. So I have to support them. But I'll tell you this. I mean, when it comes down to it, I bleed red and blue. I mean, without a doubt.
Ryan, I think you're right. The reason they have another Josh Allen as well, there's just something magical in somebody named Josh Allen, and they have a good one there. All right, well, let's break this down, Jake. So this is the fourth quarter. They're down by 21 points, folks. Up until this point, the Ravens were having their way. It was no big deal. I mean, it was looking like, oh my God, there's no worries. We don't have to worry about this Dolphin team. But they start to turn it around in the fourth quarter. And this is the first play that did it. And why I clipped this one, this is the first touchdown to River Craycraft. And this is a nice little, Tua extends the play here. So check it out. I love what he did here. Let's go. Let's roll this thing. So you're going to see some pressure come from the left side.
Rivers in the slot here. Look at the freaking pivot route.
Yeah, look at that. So he saw that guy, and there it is. Beautiful. So he extends the play very nicely.
That's a filthy route, too. Look at the route. And, yeah, obviously he had the play was extended and just kind of ran across to the other sideline pretty much here.
Yeah, so this is just a different angle here. Again, beautiful little look. He sees that.
Yeah, that's a great look at that. Did he spin move there?
Yeah.
Come on, go back there, Mike.
Yeah, that was a spin move.
Let's watch that spin move again.
Ready? There we go.
Woo!
Look at that. Look at that. And then extends it. Then a beautiful throw.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great job.
So now we're going to get into, how do you get back in the game? This is something, this feels like, I'm going to show these next two plays.
And look how many yards off. So we're playing zone here.
Yeah. So this is at the 48-yard line. And this is going to feel like, Jake, you and I went to the school with some elementary kids. We're playing against them. And I just tell you to go deep. Just go deep, Jake, because you got super speed like Tyreek Hill. Wow. Watch this play here. I'm going to slow it down. Tyreek Hill's down here on the bottom of the screen. Okay. Check this out. So I'm going to pause it at certain points.
I hope Chris and Rick are watching.
So there we go. I'm going to pause it right there. You can already see Tua's looking for him.
So
and there we go.
Yeah, jeez.
Now, this guy, again, let me back it up just a little bit. Their corner kind of squares up. You cannot do this on Tyreek Hill.
No,
Tyreek Hill's going to put the burners on you, and he does just that. So let's check it out.
He should start running. Yeah, and he does. Look at that.
It's gone.
Jeez.
And then what's the safety doing here? What's the safety doing? Not keeping his eyes over here on Tyreek.
No help at all.
Right? So here we go. Pitch and catch, man. Doesn't get much easier than that. Go deep, Jake.
It looks like the safety was keyed in there on Micah and obviously the corner just let was that Marlon Humphrey on him too?
That I'm not sure. Maybe you can get
I couldn't
a
tell
view from here. So this is the other view. I love this, by the way. And there he is. Tua already knows it. I want you to look up. Look at number, I can't tell the number 17, the other receiver. He's got his hands in the air. He already knows it.
Yes, Jalen Waddle.
And there we go. Now, I will say
Too
this.
Easy.
Tua did underthrow him a bit.
I was going to say the ball was very underthrown. He had to kind of stop a little bit there.
Yeah, definitely. And let's go forward here. And now, there we go. We score 14 points. All right. How do you up that? Jake, go deep again, man. I just said they can't stop us. Now, this one's even worse. Now,
this is where speed really does kill, Mike.
So Tyreek Hill, now, I don't understand this. Guys, look at this. Tyreek Hill's up top. You have 8 guys around the line. You have 3 in the back. You have 1 guy watching Tyreek. Are you kidding me?
No safety help at all.
Exactly. So watch
What
this.
the hell is going on here?
Watch this.
They really miss Dean Martindale, Wink Martindale.
Where is the help? I mean, seriously.
Don
Look,
Martindale. Yeah.
he's on an
my
island
gosh.
by himself. These are not corners that should be left on an island.
Look at him. He's standing straight up.
Then look at this.
Oh, my Lord. He thought he had safety help.
Yeah, so I'm going to rewind that just a little bit.
I'm going to finish this beer just watching this. This is awful. What the hell?
So Tua lets it go when he gets to the 50. Look at this. I mean, you don't get any more wide open than that. Are you kidding me?
So I watched these in real time, and I was like, man, what happened there? Just a miscommunication. It was a damn bad miscommunication there.
Oh, it
or
was
just
horrible.
a misunderstanding or not knowing your place. Holy cow.
I mean, if you think it back, Jake, and maybe I've forgotten one, but we've done a good job of not allowing Hill to get over the top of us, right? Now, he can do damage other ways, and I'm going to show you another clip and talk about that a little bit. But games against us, was there a game that you can remember where he just was wide open deep and was an easy touchdown? Most of his long touchdowns have been crossing patterns, short crossing patterns that he's taken to the house, and he can certainly do that. That's another part of his game that he brings. But can you think of any time where he beat us deep like this? I can't think in the last 3 years playing them.
No, I really can't. Nothing really comes to mind. It's all been underneath stuff where he's just taking it to the house, and that's where, obviously the speed is huge too.
Yeah. So let me finish that up. So what? We've put up 3 touchdowns now. This again is going to be the second view that they give you.
Right.
There it is. And oh my goodness, seriously, where's the coverage?
Again, look at that. Again, kind of an underthrown ball. Although Tyreek is fast as hell, so he could probably outrun that ball.
Absolutely. But you can see, I mean, yes, Tua doesn't have an arm of Josh Allen, but man, if he doesn't need to in this case.
No, right, yeah. I mean,
in
he's so
both
open.
these cases, Tyreek Hill he beat his guy, he beat his corner at about 15 yards down the field, and just Tua had to let it go. But let's and here's the final touchdown. This is the Waddle for the win. Again, good pocket protection there.
Not terrible on the coverage this time here.
Right. And just the nice throw. Steps to his left. Of course, he's more comfortable going to his left, right? And there you go. And then I'll show one more angle here. I just want to show you. They're rushing 3 here. They're doing a great job. Pocket is clean. He just steps to his left. Boom.
Well, you better be able to block 3.
Yeah, exactly. I will show you this there. Here, so those were all 4 touchdowns. I mean, and you can see those 2 to Tyreek Hill. That's something we got to make sure doesn't happen. And I'm worried. I'm extremely worried, Jake, because these 2 young corners that we're putting on the field have never seen the likes of someone with that speed. And it's going to be interesting. And I can only hope that we have at least one of our veteran safeties back there talking to them. And I know they're going to educate them this year, but until you're on the field and you see this guy, I mean, watch out. I do want to show you, I did mention this. So Tyreek Hill can beat you other ways. He doesn't need to just go deep all the time. So on this play here, you're going to see Tua just get it out to him, right? Quick crossing pattern. And this one is so close. I mean, he's going around beating everyone, and he almost turns this up.
Yeah.
If he had gotten a couple more blocks, and that he did that last year against us in a 13-second game, right? He's done that a couple times against us where he'll take something short across the middle and take it to the house. And those are huge concerns for me, at least. So
that's what's dangerous. You get him in stride or you get him in open space. That's where he really becomes an X factor. And that's, obviously it's near impossible to defend. So I think the biggest thing is the fact that Tua has not faced a front 4 like ours. I mean, between both teams he's played, whether it's New England or Baltimore, has not played a front 4, front 3 like ours. I mean, that just hasn't happened. So the number one thing is to get in his face all day, as cliche as that sounds. Von Miller is going to totally take advantage of this. I think he's going to wreak havoc on Sunday. So that is going to be our key to victory, 1,000%.
I do want to ask in the channel, was everyone, because this is new to us, want to make sure we present it well for you. Were you able to see that? How did it go? I saw the channel get a little quiet. I don't know if they were just a little scared, like, oh my God, this guy's a beast, or what. Anybody still out there? Let us know how that was, if you were able to see that clearly.
I liked it, Mike. I thought that was pretty good. You did a good job with the play selection there, too.
Yeah, I mean, 4 touchdowns was pretty easy to pick out there.
Yeah.
Let's get into the key matchups for the game. You kind of talked about it a little bit. I'll start with the key matchups, and then I'll throw it over to you, right? So the key matchups for me is obvious, just on the film that we just watched. It's going to be those young corners against Hill and Waddle. Our veteran safety, I'm pretty sure Mike is not going to be out there, unfortunately. I hope to goodness that Poyer is out there. And we need one of those guys out there to at least help, right? If you have a young safety out there, you have 2 young corners, oh my goodness, the only way you're going to be able to make up for that potentially is with your line that you're talking about, that defensive front. So to me, that's the biggest matchup. But on the other side of the ball, Miami might be in the same situation. They might have 2 young corners playing as well. If Howard, I said he was limited in practice today with a groin injury. Groin injuries are not things that quickly heal. And they easily, you might think they're okay. You get in the game, you start pushing it, and there it is again. So they could be in the same situation. Tell me about your key matchups for the game, Jake.
So those 2 corners, by the way, great names. Noah Igbenogany, great name, which I totally butchered last year in one of our pregame shows. I called him like Igbenini or something. Igbenogany. So that would be the guy replacing him. And then Nick Needham on the other side. But, as far as my key matchups go, I definitely think it's our D-line versus that O-line. And especially being, potentially without Terron Armstead. That's huge. And then Greg Little, I think we're going to give him all he can handle. Being a younger right tackle, protecting Tua's blind side. Yeah. I expect both Von Miller and Greg Rousseau to eat up. And for that matter, how about AJ Epinesa? How about a repeat performance from last year? And then you talk about interior guys. I think Tim Settle is going to go. You still have DaQuan Jones. And I like our chances with those guys as well. Connor Williams has struggled a little bit. And they actually moved him to center. He was a guard originally, so he kicked even more inside. So they're a little banged up on that O-line. And, I mean, they did a decent job protecting Tua, obviously, against the Ravens. But like I said, I mean, you rush 3 like that. They didn't blitz a ton, I don't believe, that last game. They were they respected Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. However, there was just a lot of breakdown in communication, and they did not have safety help in a lot of those, or they did, or they thought they did, and it just didn't happen. So, I feel like, even sending a couple, blitzing is definitely risky because I feel like you need all the guys back you possibly can, just because in case a big play does happen, you got to be there to make the tackle and not let a touchdown go 75 yards. But I think our front 4 is going to totally dominate, and that's what should win us this matchup a little bit. And then on top of that, we have Josh Allen at quarterback, so he gives us a chance to win every single game. And if it has to be a shootout, that's the guy you want behind center. So I feel pretty good about that. It sounds like Gabe Davis is going to play too. I know in practice he was all taped up. Still looked like he was kind of gimping a little bit on that, but we got a guy named Stephon Diggs, Mike. I mean, Xavier Howard, a little banged up. Stephon Diggs, I think in his last 2 matchups, has had 7 catches, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns, something like that against Xavier Howard in particular. Been more of a touchdown guy and not so much a yards guy, but makes big plays when he needs to. So I think Josh Allen remains king and remains their daddy.
All right. So you kind of went into your path to victory for the Bills, and a lot of mine is going to echo what you said. So, I said take advantage of that right tackle, Greg Little. If Armstead's out, take advantage of both those tackles. Man, Rousseau and Miller on the edge. My only concern, Jake, and you saw it in the film there, they didn't need much time to get the ball out of Tua's hand.
Right.
I mean, there was a couple cases on those plays where he was getting pressure from somebody, and he didn't need much time. So he dropped back and pretty much was releasing the ball. So my concern a little bit there. I would like to see to get some hands up. He's not the tallest guy, Tua. But we're going to have to keep pressure on him, take advantage of those tackles. And like we've been doing all season, you mentioned this, I want to see pressure on Tua without blitzing. Let's not blitz. Let's put as much in coverage as we have to, and hopefully force some errant throws, just like we did with Stafford in week 1, just like we did on Monday night. Let's keep that pressure going. And again, we've been getting to them. I think I saw some stat where we're the team that has blitzed the fewest so far through 2 weeks. And like you said, hey, don't take the foot off the gas. Something happened with Lamar and that team. I don't know if they took their foot off. Actually, they didn't. They tried on a few 4th down plays and just got stopped. And by the way, there was an early fumble at the goal line, an exchange from the center to Lamar that turned that game around. That could have been even a bigger lead for them. But don't take the foot off the gas. We have Josh Allen. Hey, if our defense is banged up, this offense can win it. This offense can outgun them. So let's go with it. And then again, do not let Hill or Waddle beat you over the top. Let them do the dink and dunks. If they can stay patient, okay. But I don't want to see any easy touchdowns like we just saw in that film. That's just
absolutely
ridiculous. We cannot do that. I mean, those are like, imagine us going on a nice long drive. We score a touchdown. They get the ball back in one play. They score to Hill. I mean, come on. We can't have that. For me, path to a Dolphins victory, because I always like to, and I'll throw it over to you in a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
It's just basically they're going to have to give Tua time to throw the ball. We saw that, again, we talked about Mike McDaniels and his great wizardry. He's probably going to have some nice plays to make sure that Tua is getting the ball out of his hand quickly. And like we've already said, both Waddle and Hill can take short passes and make magic happen. And I think they're going to do a lot of that this weekend. And then, maybe mix in the run a little bit to keep us honest. Their running back situation is much better than last year. I don't know about their run blocking with these younger
it's been pretty disappointing, actually. That's one thing that you definitely expected them to have some, I guess, more of a threat with. But I think their leading rusher is Raheem Mostert with like 67 yards or something like that. Or maybe it's one of the two. I know that. But it's not great. They have not had a great running game by any means, which from a Mike McDaniel offense, I know he's going to rotate guys in and out. But those are two guys that you expected to kind of take off a little bit this year in that offense especially. But they have so many weapons, so many mouths to feed. So they're also I think they're just behind, both of them are just behind Tyreek and Jalen Waddle in terms of receiving yards and receptions too, which is hilarious.
Yeah. So what's your path to victory for the Dolphins?
Yeah, I will echo what you said in terms of blocking for Tua. The second he gets flustered, I think he'll take the check down routes. So, obviously, that can be a great thing for them. But, if we're not blitzing, we have two pretty good linebackers that can cover, as we saw with Matt Milano last week. So I definitely think protecting for Tua, not allowing, guys to get in his face and put their hands up, because he's also not the tallest guy either. So that's definitely a key to victory. And then on top of that, Mike, they may have to have a shootout in order to beat us, because they need some type of defensive collapse from our team. They need to be able to utilize that speed. They need to be able to do what they did last week against the Ravens. And if it does turn into a shootout, you got to feel a little bit better about maybe some of the weapons they have compared to ours. I mean, we have so many, but in terms of speed alone, they are loaded with that.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about their tight end, Micah, who is a very fast tight end, very capable tight end. We didn't even talk about him as well. So that's another weapon that they have. So, when you look at the skilled players, and we talked about this earlier in the year, when you look at the skilled positions on both teams, other than the guy, it's almost a wash until you get to the quarterback. And Josh Allen, my goodness, I'll tell you what, that guy can carry us on his back, and he'll do everything he can to win this game. So I like what your dad says. Coaching will prevail. You can count on that. And Miami, Timmy Corcor.
Attaboy, Timmy.
Coming saying Miami has speed and skill. Waddle and Hill have shown already to beat man and zone coverage underneath and break big plays. This game is not going to be easy as people think, especially with injuries. And I was just telling Jake before we went live, because we always talk about the show, what we're going to present. And I said that after doing the research here, because every week we go into our pre-games, I have to research. Jake just knows all this stuff off the top of his head. I have to research it. And I was like, man, this game, these two teams are more similar than people have been saying. And other than, I think we have a little more depth, and other than that quarterback, my God, these two teams are very similar. And on any given Sunday, Jake, what can happen, right? Any given Sunday. and then Troy's jumping in there. A shootout would be fun to watch. I was going to get Troy on the show, but again, he was asking for too much money. It's like, man, I need money to get on your shows now, Mike. I'm not just going to do it for free.
That's right.
Let me ask you something. Is Corcoran his last name, or what's up with?
His last name is Corcoran, spelled Corcoran.
Okay.
So I don't know if it could fit in his username or if someone
maybe
already took
maybe
that
that's
name.
what it is.
But yes, Timmy, thank you for joining us. Love you to death. Wish you were coming to Miami with us. That would be fun. But hey, and Troy with the got to pay for these looks. Wow, Troy, I don't think you need to pay for anything, man. You look pretty good without it. You're all natural, baby.
He's meaning we got to pay him for him to put his pretty face on the show.
Oh, I
Jay.
see. Got it. That makes more sense. Okay.
I'm telling you, we do one show with him, and it goes, kind of mini viral for us, and now can't get him on the show anymore. He just wants to
one viral video. That's all it took.
Viral. So now it's time, folks, to get into. Well, let me ask you, Jake. Anything else you want to talk about before we get into our? We're actually doing very good on time. This is fantastic for us. But anything else you want to talk about before we get into our predictions?
I don't really have much. I think we covered the majority of it, Mike. I mean, again, speed kills. You can't coach speed, and that's something that the Dolphins have. The Bills do have more depth, though, like you said. And I think we have a better defensive line that's going to overtake that offensive line. Now, our offensive line, too, that's another thing I wanted to address. Last week, we saw some issues there. I mean, interior-wise, we got blown up a little bit. And Sean did a really nice breakdown of his film with that. I wasn't over the top thrilled with how everyone played on that offensive line. We did enough, obviously. We gave Josh enough time to throw the ball. Run blocking wasn't great, but really, I mean, do we have to have a run game? It's a nice to have, but we don't really need it. And maybe we just put the ball in the hands of Josh Allen and just let him take over and throw the football to Stephon Diggs all day. Maybe that's what we have to do, which I'd be fine with. So going to be interesting to see how they play too. And I think anyone on that D line that's been playing really well, of anyone, we talked about Melvin Ingram already, but Zach Sealer, he's more of a rotational guy. He's been playing in place a little bit of Christian Wilkins. I think he's been playing extremely well. Young kid out of Ferris State, small school, Mike. I'm sure you know plenty about Ferris State, but that's a guy to look out for them as well. Tough, young, gritty player.
Yeah, let me share this with you, Jake, and this scares me a little bit. Again, I use PFF. It's a tool. Take it with a grain of salt. But let me tell you how they have our offensive line rated after 2 weeks. Okay, let me go across the offensive line here. We have Brown rated a 53. We have Bates rated a 55. We have Morse rated a 57. We have Saffold rated a 43 in the red. And then we have Dawkins in the green and 76. So it concerns me because, PFF, these are somebody's watching this game and they're making their own decisions and giving these grades. But is Josh just been kind of shielding that bad play? It doesn't look like it from a game point of view, but yeah, when you look at some film, we definitely got blown up in a couple plays in the first two games. I felt like Josh had time. Yeah. But man, when I look at something like this, it's a little concerning here. I mean, my goodness. And then to be fair, let me throw it over to the Dolphins, and they're rating them. Give me a sec here.
And I'll tell you what, Tier Tart, shout out to that guy because he outplayed the hell out of Jeffrey Simmons last week. That is a pretty good young player the Titans have in him. I thought he did a really nice job against some really good interior offensive linemen for us. But he's a really good D tackle / nose tackle for the Titans. So he played a good game last week.
Yeah, let me give you the quick offensive line grades for Miami. So Greg Little, 48. Hunt, 68. They're in the green here. Their center is in the green too with the 68.7. Eichenberg in the red, 36. He's struggling apparently to PFF. And then Armstead at 79. Again, watch if Armstead's out. This could be very ugly. And then Jake Troy says, Josh scares the hell out of me. Yes, Josh Allen could single-handedly help us win this game with all these injuries. We'll see. But all right, let's get into it, Jake. Let's get into our score predictions. You're first. Bring it to us.
All right, Mike. So this is extra special for me, obviously, as you know, and maybe some of the people who haven't been listening to our show. I am going to be going to the game in Miami. Going with my brother-in-law, Zach Poffler. Not sure if he's listening out there. He said he'd tune in. I know Pat Egan, love it, brother. Thank you for joining. He says 38-24 Bills. I'm kind of liking that score a little bit. So we're flying in, Mike. We got a long layover in Baltimore. I'll be able to watch some more film while we're down there. We get in Friday night, late Friday night, Sarasota. We drive out to Miami. We'll be ready to go, day of and whatnot. And we're going to find a great tailgate to go to. We're going to celebrate the hell out of a victory against the Titans, obviously, on Saturday, the night prior. Get ready to go on that Sunday. So I know the Bills fans are going to definitely bring it. As I mentioned in the beginning of the show, airplanes have been loaded with Bills fans going out of Buffalo down to Miami. They're ready for this game. We're definitely going to show up. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, does the team show up? I think the team is so well coached and so well grounded right now. It's something that we really haven't seen in years. I think a lot of teams that are put into this position, talked about as Super Bowl favorites, sort of given that stigma, like that they're going to win every single game. A lot of those teams can kind of crumble. And we haven't seen it with this team over the past 2 weeks. And I don't think it's going to start anytime soon. I think we're going to go down to Miami. We're going to be very well prepared, very well coached. And Josh Allen is their daddy. Let's not forget. He's going to walk off that plane. He's going to say, Daddy's home, because guess what? He is. I do think Josh is going to go off. He's going to have a monster day. Obviously, a little concerning with injuries. I think we're going to start fast. We're going to go up by 2 scores to start the game. Dolphins going to come plundering back a little bit, going to keep it close. And then, as I said in the other 2 shows, we take it into that third, fourth quarter, and that's where good teams win. So we're going to win in that second half. I think the final score, Bills end up winning 31, Dolphins 17.
Holy moly. I'm just going through here. Big Al says 42-20. Big Al's been having us just blow everyone out. And you know
well,
what?
He was pretty on last week.
He's been right. He's been absolutely right. I'm a little superstitious. I don't like to call it big blowout because last year I got burnt. I don't know. This is a superstition in me. But Pat Egan says going to be close first half, but Bills will make some good adjustments.
I agree with that.
Just roll. And they kind of did that the last 2 games, right? We were 10-10 with the Rams at halftime. We came out, made a big stop, and then just got it all rolling. And then we had a bit of a lead going into the
similar
halftime.
deal with the Titans game.
We had a little bit of a lead, but just totally turned it on and turned it around in the third and fourth quarters. So interesting stuff there. For me, look, this is the best, when I did a show, and I joke with you about Troy, but we did do a show earlier on, and we said, hey, are the Dolphins the biggest threat in the AFC East? They absolutely are. They absolutely are. There's no doubt now. I mean, I don't care if it's week 2. You saw the Jets. The Jets look promising. You saw the Patriots. They don't look promising to me. But anyhow, the Dolphins are absolutely a threat. I think they're the best Dolphins team we've seen since Josh has been there. And
no doubt.
Last year when they played us on Halloween, it was extremely close. That score, 26-11, doesn't even reflect how close that game was. I mean, that's not a big win by any means. And that game was going late into the game before we actually got that comfortable lead. So for me, with all the injuries, this is definitely going to be a shootout. Barring, hopefully that rain stays away. If that rain does, I think it's going to be Josh Allen putting up the numbers, and we're going to win 35-31. It's going to be a close game. Absolutely.
Okay, I like that.
I've had 2 games where I've been able to just rest at ease, and I don't think that that's going to be happening this week. Now, I'm not going to say I said earlier in our prediction, in our schedule prediction, we're going to sweep the Dolphins. I'm still sticking to that. But I'm telling you, after the research I did, these 2 teams are closer than a lot of people are giving credit to. And I think, a lot of people you could argue that, hey, was it Tua and the Dolphins, or was it a breakdown of the defense? It was a little bit of both, right, for the Ravens. But 28 points in the fourth quarter, and the plays that I showed you, they have that explosiveness. So I'm expecting a closer game. What else we got out there?
That'd be fun to watch. It would be fun to watch a shootout. There's no doubt. I think the stats are going to be high regardless of what the score is. I think it's going to be a very offensive game. Even though I have the Dolphins only scoring 17 points, I think there's going to be some stats to go around. I think fantasy players will be pretty happy with this game.
Yeah, when you got all those young corners, Jake, I mean, something's going to give. We saw what happened with Diggs with those young corners on Monday night. And again, I trust Benford and Kyer, but this is their biggest test to date for sure. and they've never seen the likes of a Tyreek Hill.
I wish we had the play, though. I don't know if you saw this, Mike. The Christian Benford play against Derrick Henry in the backfield. He is a dog, man. We got an absolute gem with that guy. I mean, he shed the block off the fullback. I thought the Titans were missing Kari Blasingame. I mentioned that last show. He did not play a good game. Tony Jones, I think, is the current fullback. Absolutely blew him up. Lowered his shoulder, got off the block, tackled Derrick Henry in the backfield. That was fantastic. Just textbook. Love to see it. We have a real hidden gem in him. And listen, I know he's a 6th-round pick, but don't sleep on him.
Yeah, I thought both the corners did well in run support, but yeah, absolutely. Benford looks strong, and we've got some gems there, which we got lucky. But certainly, again, we had our biggest test against a running team. We passed that test. Check. We had a big test opening week against the Super Bowl champions. Check. Now we got injuries piling up, and this is going to be the next big test against a very, very good passing team. You could argue they're one of the top duos receiving core in the league. I mean, seriously. And then we got Trick from 808. Is 808 the Dolphin area code? I don't know.
That's a great question. I'm not sure.
He says Dolphins 45, Bills 37, and that's no defense. It's sort of like the defenses are just doing absolutely nothing, and who gets the ball last wins that game. It could be that type of game.
I just don't see it. No disrespect to Tua, I just don't see him as a shootout quarterback like that. Last week was kind of a fluke, in my opinion.
305 is Miami area code, so I'm not sure what the 808 is, but maybe Trick 808 can tell me what that 808 represents. But hey, we welcome all fans. I got to tell you, so Jake, I always do. I watch a couple shows from the opposing team. I just want to hear what they're saying about our team. I want to get some insight about their team. That's what I want to get mostly. And I got to tell you, man, I watched this one show, and the guy was just classless. The guy lives in Syracuse, and he called Buffalo, what did he call Buffalo? The landfill for Canada. He said stuff like that, and I was just like, dude.
What? Landfill for Canada?
The landfill for Canada is what he called Buffalo.
Wow.
Dude, you live in Syracuse? And he's like, yeah, I got all these
he's not that
Bills,
far from us.
Yeah, he's got all these Bills fans around me. He goes, I went into Wegmans and they're putting the Josh Allen sticker on. I forget what it was he was buying. He says, oh my God, it was annoying. And he just had a bunch of other bad things to say. And I'm like, stay classy, man. I want all the fans to come here. I love good conversation. I'm never going to, slam you or anything like that. We're not that type of channel. We'd love you to come on over and talk. But when I saw that, I was so tempted to my temperature went up, and I don't usually get there, but it went up. I was about to start putting things in the channel. I'm like, no, I'm not going to give him that because, good or bad comments helps him. And I'm like, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not going to help you. So it was interesting. And again, I'm not judging all the shows. It just happened to be like random. He had about 3,000 subs, and I was also looking for one of them to come on our show. And so that's why I was kind of looking for some of the smaller channels. Because usually the folks that have 30,000 subs, they don't want to mess with you too much. Mm-hmm. But I was like, maybe going to reach out. I said, no, not after that. Absolutely not. So it was interesting.
Trick 808, by the way, Hawaii. How about that? So you're talking to us from Hawaii. That's incredible, man. I hope nice. Hope it's beautiful down there. I'm sure it is.
We got Mater Mark saying either 40 or 50 will KO Tua. We did it last year in game 1. It could certainly happen this year, especially with with Greg Little being in there. Absolutely. And then if Terran Armstead's out, oh boy, watch out.
Yeah, absolutely. And who said 72-17? That's incredible.
Where's that?
Mafia King? Yeah, 72-17 Bills is what he said. That would be incredible. I believe that would almost have the record there. Let me see. I believe it's 73 right now.
I do want to say, while Jake's looking that up, I always forget to say this. If you're new to the channel, I'm seeing a lot of new faces out there, which we absolutely love. Please give us a comment, and most importantly, as we always say, drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. So greatly appreciate you guys interacting with us. What'd you find, Jake?
So the highest scoring game of all time came up, and I knew about this. It was the Washington R-Words versus the Giants. This is back in 1966, and the score was 72-41. But then the biggest blowout, I thought it was 73 points. Something like that. Maybe not.
Troy's saying not happening, Mafia King. Hey, Mafia King, I don't know. Have that. I'll take it, just half your score, and I'm good with it. We kind of beat them pretty handily. We double them up.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome, man. I mean, hey, if we get to 72 points, we'll be all over the media as if we haven't already been as it is. I mean, it's great. I love seeing that Buffalo's getting some recognition and, people are talking this up a lot. I mean, it's a great thing. And I think the players are so well grounded. Again, I'll talk about this. I really do think Sean McDermott's done a really nice job of keeping them grounded, level-headed, sort of blocking out the noise and just being ready to play every week. So it's a great thing.
I love the Mafia King here.
Tua insanity, 1 week wonder.
Let's talk about the media though. Because the guy that I was watching, he's like, "Can you imagine if the Dolphins win this game?" And oh my God, I don't know if I can handle this. If I go back to this guy's channel and listen to him, I can't imagine what he'd be saying if they were to beat us. But talk about that a little bit, how that just changes things big time. I mean, it'd be huge. I mean, they would go from not expecting to win the AFC East. Now they'll be in the seat there, the front seat, number one.
Oh yeah.
It would change the story greatly. But let's hope that doesn't happen. But it's gonna be close. I'll tell you folks, again, I'm not saying we're gonna lose. I actually predict that we're gonna win, but man, this team's good. This team's good. So we're gonna have to be on our A game. I think the fact that you're gonna be there and plenty of Bills Mafia, we're going to keep it going. My jersey's 2-0. I'm going to make it 3-0. Your Gilliam jersey's been doing fantastic for us. Let's hope that we get a little bit more.
I'd love to go live at halftime too, Mike. We're going to see if we can make that work. So if you guys are watching or looking for some content, we may be going live halftime of that game. We'll see. We'll see if I have connection out there.
Yeah, I've been to a couple stadiums. I know when I went to the Chargers when they used to play there in San Diego to see that game, the reception was terrible. But
was that at Qualcomm when you went there?
Yeah,
or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I went to SoFi, I mean, the reception was fantastic. I could text, I could send anything. So hopefully we'll see what ends up.
Pretty updated stadium, Hard Rock.
Yeah,
pretty updated.
It is. But you have all that people sucking up the bandwidth. So we'll see.
I know.
Interference being caused. But if we can, like Jake said, we will go live at halftime. Jake will join us with his little mobile device, giving us a report. Jake, you're probably going to have to have some earbuds with you.
I'll bring them.
The stadium will be loud.
Yep.
Otherwise, you won't hear us.
Yeah, that's not a problem. And Trick, I was wondering, I mean, I figured, Hawaii, there's a little connection there. Tua is from Hawaii. He's one of 2 starting quarterbacks in the league right now, by the way, outside of Marcus Mariota. 2 guys starting in the NFL from Hawaii. Kind of cool.
Yeah, very much so. All right, I think that kind of does it, Jake. Final thoughts before we say goodbye and, count down the next few days. So final thoughts, man.
Final thoughts are just steady the course, Mike. Steady the course. Again, the Bills Mafia is going to show up in Miami. Josh Allen will remain their king. And I think the Dolphins are going to give us about all that we can handle for sure. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park, but at the end of the day, I think the Bills come out victorious, and I feel pretty good about saying that.
Let me ask you this, because we didn't even talk about it. Do you think, how much of a run game do we put out there on Sunday?
So weird. I feel like against the Dolphins, we kind of get it rolling a little bit. Like last year, I thought we did. Devin Singletary had his longest run of the season last year against the Dolphins. So it's an interesting thing. We don't have much of a run game. And everyone thought we were going to have one, including myself, especially with Aaron Cromer kind of talking to those guys, getting that interior line a little more nasty. So maybe we'll see. It could be a total flip of the script on Sunday, and maybe we just run it right down their throats. And, it's something they don't see coming, especially with Gabe still injured. And, we'll see. But I love what Ryan said, too. He said, delete that Dolphins app as soon as you can. I will. Don't you worry, man. Yeah. So when we bought tickets, we had to buy them, and they were group seats. I mean, we had 10 people going to this game. So the best deal was through Hard Rock Stadium. So unfortunately, they had to make us download the app, and we have the tickets on it. But yeah, don't you worry. As soon as we get through those gates, I'm done. That's it.
Is Big Al going with you?
No, he's not. He's not. They actually went last year. So they were at that game last year in Miami, and we just totally beat up on them. I mean, AJ Epinesa, again, had a monster day.
Yeah, and then we got Pat saying, feeling over 85 rushing yards total, not counting Josh Allen rushing yards. So
love it. I would probably agree with that.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting. It has been a little bit of a disappointment on the running game. We talked them up, adding Saffold, how they looked towards the end of the season. We saw glimpses, but they've abandoned it, and they abandoned it for good reason. Of course, Josh has been killing it, but it's a little interesting how it hasn't progressed from last year like we thought it would so far.
That's right. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think it might be a slow incline. And again, Mike, we got to get that James Cook, Devin Singletary yardage tracker on our show here, because we do have a bet out there. I'll remind everyone, me and Mike started before the beginning of the season. We had a bet on who would have more total yards between James Cook and Devin Singletary. So far, I do think Devin has him by a little bit still, but
much.
It's close. Yeah,
Not
it's close.
But
close.
Seriously, let's look at it. Your boy James Cook got in garbage time and racked up 53 yards.
I would feel a little bad if he only won it, just by getting some garbage time carries.
Wow, it's just going to come down. It's going to come down. But I got to ask you about him. He hasn't looked explosive to me. And I get it. He was in with the backups, but so did the Dolphins, not the Dolphins, but the Titans had their backups too late in the game.
Right.
He hasn't looked explosive. We haven't used him. I don't know. Have we? I think we tried to throw one pass to him, but I don't know. Something hasn't. It just hasn't been explosive.
It's been a slow roll for him. There's no doubt. Yeah, and I'll tell you this: Devin Singletary started off last week. I mean, he looked back. I mean, I'm like, man, 3 carries, 18 yards right off the bat. We're going to run the hell out of the ball today. And then he had 19 yards on the day. So it's just wild to me how we got going so quick. And then we try to throw something else into the mix and sort of halted our run game a little bit. But again, I'm okay. Listen, I would love to have a run game. I would love to be able to have that option to hand it to a back and kind of take some pressure off. But if we just need it for tempo right now and just sort of, going with just some different play calls and whatnot, just to slow it down a little bit, I'm okay with that too. But yeah, it would be a nice to have for sure.
Yeah, it seemed like both games it got off to a nice start with Singletary going. It looks like the left side's the better side to run on right now with Saffold over there. And Singletary gets off to a decent start, and then they made some adjustments. Again, too, you have to remember, and I guess I have to remember this too, we went against two of the best defensive line interior linemen in the game. Jeffrey Simmons, Aaron Donald. Running against those guys is not the easiest.
That's 1 and 2 right there. Aaron Donald at 1, Jeffrey Simmons 2.
So I gotta remember that. And so hopefully now we're going against folks that are not at that level, and maybe we can take advantage a little bit with this run game that we've talked about. So we'll see. Anyhow, we can keep going forever. I don't know if I want to stop talking. I'm so excited. I don't know if I
just
can
purposely extended this out.
Days.
We had to at least get to that hour 15 mark.
I know. I did. I kind of did. I brought up the run game, and we got into this additional conversation. So my fault there. But
no, I love it.
Yeah, all good stuff. So anyhow, yeah. So remember to get into the contest. Put a comment after the show in the comments. The live chat just is for interaction. We use a random comment picker to kind of narrow down who's going to go on that final wheel. If you haven't seen how we did the last giveaway, the video's out there. Just skip to the past. You'll see that wheel that I'm talking about, and you'll see how we pick a winner. It's a lot of fun on that day. A little stressful. I'm going to have to. We put out a lot more shows and videos this time around, Jake. We started exploring with shorts. I got to tell you something. Little Jonah, my son. I mean, he's an internet star. He's got 19,000 views on his little short of him just cheering on the Bills, saying, "Drop, let's get 30. Let's get 30." I got to tell you, I was such a proud papa at that Rams game. That boy was supporting the Bills and going off on them. And his voice was just worn out by the end of that game. But yeah, it's short. I didn't expect it. I put it out there. I said something like, "Young Bills Mafia asking to drop 30 on the Rams. No mercy. And that thing goes viral. That thing goes viral.
No mercy.
19,000 views. Now, let me tell you, there's when you drop a short, it goes to everybody. So those Ram fans, they were a little bitter. There was some.
Oh, I'm sure.
You saw some of the comments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were a little rough.
I had to get involved real quick there, Mike. I saw the one guy saying how, what are you so excited about? You still haven't won the AFC. You're celebrating over a win, but you're still not going to beat the Chiefs. And, typical Rams fan, typical bandwagon fan who just got involved with the team, still hasn't replied to my comment. I asked him if he knew who OJ Atogwe was.
Yeah, I saw that.
I reminded him that they weren't far off from us because if you remember, the Rams, obviously greatest show on turf, had really a ton of success in the early 2000s. And then 2005 hit. And then you had the Steven Jackson era, which Steven Jackson, one of the most underrated running backs of that era, by the way, deserves some consideration for the Hall. I don't think he'll get in, but that guy was awesome. He had 7 or 8 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons, but that was really the only bright spot on that team for years. And I'm talking from 2005 to 2016, it took them to get back into the playoffs. So they had their own drought, so he's chirping us saying how, we can't get over the Chiefs and, we're just celebrating over these small, non-meaningful wins. And meanwhile, he's not that far removed from doing the same. So I don't know. It's crazy to me. I think if you're anyone, if you're any type of football fan, I don't see how you can even hate the Bills in the least bit, even if they're not your team. It's hard not to root for this team. It's crazy to me. And Josh Allen, on top of that, leading this team, perfect guy for Buffalo.
Yeah, one of the comments was there's a typical Bills fan asking for more than what they need. And I'm like, hey, man, it's 24-10 at that game. It's just a 2-score game. Based on what's happened in the NFL this year, you can't take your foot off the gas pedal. And dropping 30 was the right call. We did drop 31, and it was awesome. Anyhow, let's get out of here. Jake, have a safe travel. I can't wait to get the messages, the text. If you want to, I'll talk to you. You can go live at any time real easily with the tool that we use here. So, maybe get on a little without me and just, go live. I'm here live at the stadium, outside the stadium, blah, blah, blah. But we are going to try halftime to get you live. Anyhow, thank you, everyone out in the channel. Oh, I got to see. Trick giving some good numbers.
These are the first 24 games for Tua and Josh.
We got to respect
I've seen this before.
Let me digest this. Okay.
So here's where I think there's a bit of a difference. And statistically, obviously, you see Tua definitely more accurate, more yards, better touchdown to interception ratio. But I think the biggest difference between the two is the unlimited potential that Josh has and sort of where Tua's ceiling is set. I think Tua maybe was put into a system that was better for him to start off with. I'm not saying Brian Flores was the greatest coach of all time. And listen, I know Josh has had Sean McDermott the entire time too, but I think the situation he was thrust into, he had to learn a lot quicker than Tua did. And Tua, he started his rookie year too, don't get me wrong. And just from a statistic standpoint, obviously it looks a lot better, but Tua is more of an underneath guy than Josh was. Josh was more of a home run hitter. And I think Josh has sort of developed better over time, obviously with his throwing mechanics, his release, working with Jordan Palmer. I think that's been huge for him. And then in addition to that, just his accuracy. It's 10 times better. You look at his rookie year compared to now. He's throwing ropes. Just absolute dimes where no one else can get to it. And I think that's the biggest difference with Josh is that he's kind of gone like this, where I think Tua is, obviously a little bit on the incline, but I think he only gets to a certain point and then he sort of plateaus. And hey, I'll eat my words. I'll eat my words if that's not true, but it is interesting looking at the numbers just through their first 24 games.
Yeah, appreciate that, Trick 808. Love the data there. So yeah, there's been two sides of the fence with Tua. I've seen even on our fantasy football show, Chris is really supports Tua, really likes him. He did last year, this year, whereas Rick is on the opposing side of that. And I think that's, other than the Dolphins fans, outside of that, you have both sides of fences. I've never said Tua was not going to be good, not a good quarterback. Obviously he is. He can be efficient when you have the tools. You put the tools around him. look what he did. And now he's got some of the best tools in the game. And you just got to get them the ball and be efficient and don't turn the ball over. And you saw those stats that Trick put up. So he's been doing a great job doing that. And when you consider the terrible offensive line he had last year, that's pretty impressive, man.
Absolutely, yeah. And I like Tua a lot, man. I think he's a very, very capable quarterback, but I just don't put him on Josh's level. I mean, it's hard to put anyone on Josh's level. You're talking guys like Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I mean, he's given Pat Mahomes a hell of a run for his money, for that top quarterback spot. And listen, I'm not just being a homer here. I'm just on the eye test alone. I mean, it's incredible what he's done. And obviously offering the running value too is just crazy.
Yeah, and then it has, let's see here. Ryan had a nice comment. He said, Josh was a project quarterback. Tua played in the NFL minor league, a.k.a. The SEC. So good point there.
And then he does say most elite quarterbacks turn it on their third year. That's absolutely true because that was Josh's breakout year, his third year. So it's interesting you say that, which I definitely agree with that. And you know what? It's fun. Let's bring back that. I mean, Mike, you grew up in this era with Dan Marino versus Jim Kelly. I mean, how fun was that to watch? Let's bring that rivalry back. I mean, this could be a cool thing for the future, So I want to have that type of rivalry in our division. I don't want to just be playing against, Chad Pennington level quarterback. Listen, I love Chad Pennington, but you know what I mean? I want to be playing against other potential Pro Bowl Hall of Fame guys.
Let me tell you about my good friend Troy here, Troy Gregory Media. I met Troy back in 1984.
Oh, wow.
He was my manager. I was in retail at the time. I came out to California from Buffalo, had to move here because my family that I was living with was moving here. So I came out there, found a job at the sporting store, great store, Sport Mart. It was like Dick's. It was Dick's before Dick's became Dick's. Anyhow, he's my manager there. We became good friends. We've stayed friends ever since. But he and I, we talked Kelly. We talked Marino. He's a couple years older than me. We've both been fans of these two teams since early 70s. For me, it was when I first remember watching Bills games. It was Joe Ferguson at the helm. And he remembers, just having those conversations with him. And he's been a fan for all this time. So we give him a hard time. He's been on the show a couple times. But I wanted to share that story because we've been back. I went back and forth to Buffalo a few times and then back to California. And Troy did his thing out in Michigan at one point, but we've always stayed friends. So appreciate you out there, Troy. And yes, we'll be in contact Monday. I wish we can get together for this game. I told you, I invited you up here if you want to come watch the game. So let's go.
I love it. And Trick, again, saying that Tua had everything going against him. That's definitely true. I will agree with that. I mean, people were super pissed when they pulled Ryan Fitzpatrick for him and kind of lost. You're going to start this right now when your team is actually doing okay with Ryan Fitzpatrick under the helm. So, yeah, I mean, he had a lot to overcome. He definitely overcame a lot of adversity, and I think he's an awesome, awesome guy. And obviously, he's not a bad quarterback. Like I said, I just can't put him on the same level as Josh Allen. I'm sorry, man, but maybe this is the year for him to really make some strides. So we're already starting to see a little bit of that. And you could argue, too, that Stephon Diggs helped a lot with Josh Allen's development, too.
Yeah. Hey, I forgot to ask you, it's Thursday Night Football going on. Who's winning this game?
Steelers are up 14-13 right now. And I'll tell you what, the Prime Video presentation is unbelievable. Those cameras are so crystal clear. I absolutely love it. And also, Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit, what a combo. I mean, it makes the game feel like it's a big game. You love hearing those guys in the booth. I think they do an awesome job. So far, I'm very happy with the Prime Video telecast. And Trick, thank you so much for joining our show, man. I would definitely love to hear more from you and, tune in anytime.
Yeah, and I do want to say, so earlier in the week, I watched a lot of different shows, and I saw somebody saying that Pickett would be the starter, but obviously he's not. Trubisky's
no, Mitchell's still, yeah.
But I'll tell you what, though, based on the stats that Mitch has been putting up, there's a short hook there, I think. If he keeps doing what he's doing now, it'll be interesting. So I thought maybe you were going to tell me Pickett was started, but I just looked at the stats. He hasn't.
Yeah, what are we looking at for numbers right now? Nick Chubb was starting off real strong. He had 6 for 54 in terms of carries and yardage.
So Mitch is 14 for 20 for 143 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Harris, for them, the running back, is 13 for 55 yards and a touchdown. And then Mitch did run one in from the 1 yard line, so he's got 1 touchdown rushing. And on the Browns, Brissett 19 to 28 for 180 yards and two touchdowns. And let's see who's rushing there for them. Nick Chubb having a good day, 12 for 79. And who's their big receiver?
Amari Cooper. He scored a touchdown.
Cooper 6 for 69 with 1 touchdown, and then Noku, is that how you say his name? 8 for
Njoku,
81.
yeah, David Njoku, yeah.
Yeah. So
he got paid, man.
Well.
You want to talk about who really ruined the tight end market? David Njoku really messed that up. So I'm glad that we were able to pay Dawson Knox what we did, because I think he's a much better tight end. But hey, mahalo, is that what they say?
Yep.
Thank you so much, Trick.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I didn't even mention this, but let's say, for instance, if Micah Hyde is out and Poyer plays, and we happen to win this game. I mean, there's been that contract conversation with Poyer.
Yeah,
they might have to up the ante.
Yeah, they may have to do so. And I know they kind of went in, at the beginning of the year and sort of restructured some things and did like a good graces like payment thing to him, just to sort of keep him happy for the time being. But absolutely agree with that. It could come back to bite him, and maybe he demands even more money. So we'll see what happens with that. But obviously we need to keep a guy like that. We need to keep a guy like Micah Hyde. So whatever it takes, obviously you don't want to. He's in his 30s. He probably only has 3 good years left, but it's definitely a conversation we're going to have. Yeah,
especially when you have such young corners like we do, right? We have young corners, and then our depth behind the safety position is also young. So you know this. You've seen it what Von Miller does with these young guys. He's teaching them up. And then we have these great safeties being able to help out those young corners. So it just is a good thing all around. So let's hope. And you said 3 more years. I want him to finish with Buffalo. Let's go.
I agree.
All right. We ran a little long, which we always do. But you know what? I can keep talking till.
I know.
We can keep going till Sunday.
It's the best, Mike.
I got to kill some time. So I don't know what else I'm going to do after today.
Sunday can't come soon enough.
I know. All right. Well, everyone, thank you again. Appreciate everyone's support. And we'll see you soon. We'll figure out when our post game is going to be. When do you get back to Buffalo, Jake?
I'll be back on Monday, so I could do the post game right on Monday. No problem at all.
Excellent. So we'll do our post game, and do me a favor, take lots of pictures,
I will.
Lots of videos, and let's share that come Monday on our post game. And then
if you guys haven't seen my game day vlog from
you got to see that
game, go check that out.
I should have queued that up and played it. It's actually pretty cool. You did a great job on it.
Thank you.
Just a couple minutes, but I'll tell you what, it gave me goosebumps. There was a point, you know when those videos you watch and all of a sudden you get chills, goosebumps.
Yes.
It did. There was a certain part of it. I think it was when they were running onto the field, and I was, oh man, goosebumps.
Some legends there too. You got Bruce Smith, you got Jim Kelly, Marv Levy. Yeah. Marv Levy did his great quote, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? And the entire crowd, I wish I could have caught the audio. It was tough to kind of hear, but the entire crowd mouthed and said his entire quote, which was amazing. That was unbelievable. You want to talk about getting chills? Like that was really cool.
Yeah. Where else would you rather be?
Yeah. Right here, right.
Right now. So let's go. We'll see you all soon. Again, it's going to be a great game, I'm sure. And then we'll be back Monday sometime to do our post-game show. So let's go. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great night wherever you are. Be safe. We'll talk soon.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.